people don't experience life. They experience the life they focus on.
Right.
So right now, if you're happy, you are deleting all the things you could be pissed off about or frustrated or worried about in the world. Yeah. If you're unhappy, you're deleting all the things that are great in your life.
Wow.
And our brains delete and they distort and they generalize. So if you don't direct it, you get whatever shows up. What's wrong is always available. What's wrong in the world, it's always available. What's right is also available. It's just which one you pick. And it isn't about positive thinking, because I've never been into positive thinking. People think that's what I do. It's not. I believe in intelligence. And so when you're in a lousy state of mind, you treat people poorly, you don't perform at the highest level, you're not happy. Yeah. When you're in a great state of mind, you treat people better, perform at a different place. And it's one of the reasons the humor is so valuable. Yeah. It changes people's state. And all of a sudden they're in a different place. They respond in a different place when they're laughing than when they're pissed off.
Yeah.
So why not train yourself to do that?
Gratitude's an excellent practice, man. Yeah. It's the opposite of arrogance and resentment. I think it's a great thing to become an expert at. And I think that you can allow yourself happiness if you're grateful.
There's a verse in the Bible that says, you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. Another verse says, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be answered unto you. So once you pursue something, that thing that you're pursuing also attracts itself to you. It's the law of magnetism, and whatever you are, you attract. So, when you're praying and you're grateful, that's the elevated thought that you're bringing into creation, into existence. The idea of creation, right? The idea of creating things is the materialization of these thoughts. You ask God to give you patience, right? But then he gives you a challenging situation for you to show patience, and you complain that, it's a hard time in life. Well, you ask God to teach you something. It's supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be challenging.
Discipline doesn't imply that it's going to be easy. Discipline implies that it's going to get done even when you don't feel like it. So there's a lot of times when you're exercising high levels of discipline that you're like, fuck, I don't want to be doing this. It's extremely hard. I'd rather be doing other things. I'm not really focused on this, but the thing gets done regardless because of the discipline. So just because it's hard doesn't mean you don't have discipline. Discipline is required to do the things that are hard when you don't feel like doing them. That doesn't mean they're going to feel less hard. It just means they're still going to get done. And if you take inventory of your life and everything you ever told yourself you wanted to be, and you go back in time and you say, what if I had been able to adhere to the plan I laid out in front of my path for me to get where I wanted to go, and I had stuck to that no matter what would my life look like now? What would my life look like if every single time I told myself I was going to get in great shape, I actually followed through the first time? What would my life look like if all the times I told myself I was going to take my career more seriously, I just did that the first time? Where would I be now? Right? It's a life-changing skill set. It's almost insulting to look at someone who is constantly working hard and think that it's easy for them to work hard. It's not easy.
Because I think that people have been told for a while that, oh, if you're feeling sad, there's something wrong with you. When I actually don't think there's anything wrong with when you feel sad. You feel sad? Yeah, you lost friends. You're gonna feel sad. Oh, you were in combat. You had to do some horrible things. You did some things that you regret. There's nothing wrong with that. People make mistakes. Things don't turn out the way that they wanted them to. We made decisions and there was a bad result at the end of that decision. And instead of thinking, oh, I'm a terrible person, no, it's like you made a mistake and that's okay and you got to move on.
You need to learn to let go and live with a heart filled with love. You need to be content with yourself, because if you're obsessed with trying to hate on another person, the poison's inside of you. It's not inside of me. It doesn't affect me as much as it affects you. You can't feel hatred for somebody without it affecting your mood.
If you're not getting past this today, this week, this month, this year, all of a sudden a decade goes by and you're still hung up and you can't get rid of that thing in your memory it's got you paralyzed and you're a victim of it. If it's holding you back from going where you want to go, maybe you should just deny the thing ever happened. Yeah. Kick it in the head. Kick it off the curb. I'm done with you. I'm sick of you. I'm tired of hanging out with you. I'm tired of that thing, whatever it is, holding me back from going where I want to go.
You want to build good habits? Let's use these little mishaps in life, these little misfortunes that occur, to build good habits. Habits of restraint, habits of emotional control, habits of detachment. these things will make you a better person in the long run.
Playing out the fear, Layla says this, and I love it, but that fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. And so it looks like this ocean that you're going to step into and drown. But as soon as you step into it, you realize it was not that deep at all, and you can keep walking through it. And I just love that visual, because a lot of times when it's like we have this anxiety around this big decision we have to make, if you actually take the step and realize that it's not death, you're not going to drown immediately. There's plenty of other steps you can take from there, even if you get a little wet.
I had big dreams. A lot of us have big dreams, big goals. And when you have goals that are maybe outside your reach, you have to know that getting to that goal, you're gonna have a lot of bad days. So I had to teach myself how to fail right. And what that means is, when I fail, I can't spend much time in that fail zone. I have to be able to get up and get after the next day just as fast. I don't have time to stay here and feel bad for myself for weeks and months and years, because I'll lose that time.
When you're favored by God, you're also favored by the devil. He's coming for you too. So you just gotta be strong and stay on the right side. Whose side you gonna go on? He's gonna give you power too. He's gonna get in your head too, but it's whose side you gonna stay with. You stay with who brought you here. You go home with the guy that brought you to the dance.
I think one of the largest tenets of masculinity for the largest period of human time is ignoring how you feel and doing what you're supposed to do because you're supposed to do it. We feel things, but jobs must be done, whether we are happy or sad. And this is also disappearing from the world. I'm stressed probably 6 days a week. I'm pissed off 6 days a week. But things need to be done.
Right.
So you just have to do them.
You do not need them to believe in you. You do not need your friends to tell you you're great. All you have to do is go become great, and they will recognize it. Like, you don't need permission, motherfuckers. It's hard. It's not easy. Every day you wake up, you're gonna have shit go wrong. Every day you wake up, you're gonna have bad things happen. How you need to look at this as a test. It's a test. Do you pass the test or do you not pass the test? You need to, when you have a bad day, bro, you wake up and fucking everything's going wrong. That's called life. That's not even hard shit, bro. What are you gonna do when hard shit happens? You're talking about life. That's life. There's gonna be distractions. Your job is to discipline yourself to a point where these distractions don't pull you off track or you're able to manage them. It's never gonna go your way. It's never gonna be easy. There are always gonna be things that break. There are always gonna be things that go wrong. And your job is to get through this regardless of what comes your way. And the best perspective that you can take is to look at it like a test.
Don't ever be ashamed of anything you've done in your life. Face it, fix it, make it better. We are humans. But then again, if you always think that we're humans, you will always just be a human and always make the same fucking mistakes. You must take this knowledge that you learn from all this shit is knowledge. So I'm just trying to give people that strength to go in the archives of your life, because while you're probably fucked up, it's probably something happened to you in your life. Go through the archives, dig it up, study it, and then use it for yourself.
Do you actually want to do this or not? Do you actually want to do this or not? Because if you actually want to do it, what's going to stop you? Nothing. And if you don't really want to do it, what's going to stop you? Just about anything that comes up. Just about any obstacle that gets in your way becomes an excuse. It becomes a reason. It becomes a rationale for not proceeding down that path.
You have a great life in front of you, but your great life is in front of you. It's not behind you. What you did back there ain't got nothing to do with what God got for you. What you did back there was learn the lessons to get you to where you are at this particular moment right here. But what God got for you, do you know, man, that you can actually mess your life completely up? You can jack it all the way up and you can turn around and get it right.
Find a thing you like. Try to find a thing that you really enjoy. Try to find a thing that you're passionate about.
Like an activity.
Yes. For me, early on, it was drawing. It was illustrations. It was comic books. I wanted to be a comic book illustrator. And then it went from comic book drawing and illustrations to martial arts. So, but it was just another thing that I was very, very passionate about. And that was my vehicle out of my dilemma. That was my vehicle out of my own anxiety and trauma and my own issues and insecurities. And find something.
Find a thing that you genuinely enjoy, because getting good at things you genuinely enjoy is extremely beneficial for young people, because it lets you know that, like, everybody thinks they're a loser. Every young person thinks they're a loser. At least a young person in the situation I was at. Like, I didn't know I wasn't a loser until I started winning, until I started doing martial arts. Martial arts taught me that, like, I could get better at stuff, that I wasn't really a loser. I just was someone who was, like, in a fucked up situation. But you could channel all that energy that you have as a young person into something and get better at it. And then all of a sudden people admired me. I was like, this is crazy. So I went from being someone who was incredibly insecure and basically a failure to someone who was really successful at this one thing that was very dangerous, that other people were scared of.
It doesn't matter where you are in life. It really doesn't. Because the great thing about life is it's always your next move. Your next move that counts. No matter where you are. You could be, look, I was dead broke. My electric bill was being shut off. And there were people even like worse off than I was. It doesn't matter. You could change your life if you want to. It's always your next decision. So it's up to you.
If you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let some idiot talk you out of it. If there is something that you feel is good, something you want to do, something that means something to you, try to do it. Because I think you can only do your best work if you're doing what you want to do, and if you're doing it the way you think it should be done, and if you can take pride in it after you've done it, no matter what it is. If you can look at it and say, I did that, and I think it's pretty damn good. That's a great feeling.
Surround yourself with people whose eyes light up when they see you coming. 2, slowly is the fastest way to get to where you want to be. And 3, the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next, so keep climbing.
There's something wrong with you as a man. You have a disease because your life sucks. I don't think that's true. I think that your life just sucks and you should change it. And another thing I also preach, and this is another thing that's very important, I also think as a man, because life as a man is pain and suffering, and when I say that, because you're never going to be a good man or good at being a man without pain and suffering. You're going to have to go through a bunch of shit and have a terrible life to become a good man. I think you should embrace that and accept it. And I think that the correct mental model for men to have is a degree of stoicism and not to be too concerned with even how they feel. If I woke up today happy, I would have done this interview with you. If I woke up today sad, I would have done this interview with you. What's the difference? Why put so much importance on my emotion if certain things must be done? I must work, I must train, I must see Tucker Carlson, I must resist the Matrix.
You've got duties.
I've got things to do. So why are we going to sit around and talk about how I feel if it doesn't even affect how I act?
Your life was basically the perfect grounds for training for where you need to go in your life. All the beatings, all the bullying, all the, you going through learning disabilities, all the struggles. It was the absolute perfect training ground for you to go to where you need to go. And that's how I started looking at my life versus woe is me, poopy pants, kick a rock down the street mentality. It was, God just hooked you right the fuck up.
Do all that you can do. And when you've done all you can do and hell still comes to breakfast, let it finish out, then pick up the pieces, learn from it, and start all over again.
Do you know when I was homeless, I told God every day, if you let me make it, when I get there, I'm gonna tell everybody it was you. Well, guess what? I'm telling you that it was him. I have no education. I ain't got a degree of any kind. What you see today is a boy that come out the bottom, who believed in him when it wasn't no sign of me getting over, who kept doing this thing that his mother taught him. She said, when it get dark for you and you can't find your way, and boy, I was lost. She said, don't forget to pray. Don't be ashamed to pray. And don't ever be too proud to pray, because prayer changes things. You have got to pray.
I think the best way to prove your value is to work, is to learn, is to absorb, to be a sponge. But you always want to outwork your potential. You know, as hard as you believe you can work harder than that.
Now, one of the things I recommend to young people, especially true for people in their 20s, is that you should push yourself beyond your limits of tolerance in your 20s to find out where it is. How much can you work? How disciplined can you become? Like, can you work 12 hours a day? Can you work 8 hours a day? Can you work 3 hours a day? Like, flat out. Where's your limit? And how much work can you do, and how much socialization? You should find out. Push yourself past and then back off to that point where it's optimally sustainable.
Every single day, man, getting up, and as cliche as it sounds, when you tell a person, hey man, don't take life for granted, right? And I kind of hear it go in one ear, go out the other. But bro, one of the most underrated blessings is leaving your house and making it back home every single day. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's an underrated blessing that we just assume it's gonna happen. And every single day, cats leave the crib and they don't make it back to their children. They don't make it back to their spouses. But we leave our house every single day. And we just assume, like, man, I'm gonna make it back. I'll see you later, right? And it's like, man, who promised you that? Every single day, all that comes with it, right? Highs, lows, successes, failures, right? Tough moments, right? Great moments, all that comes with it, the totality of it. Appreciate all of it, right? Because we need all of it in terms of our development and the people that we're striving to become. And I say striving because we're constantly evolving. And so I would say to him, man, always be willing to be stronger than your strongest excuse, and always be willing to extend a level of grace to both yourself and the others. Because if you haven't needed it yet, I guarantee you it's gonna come a point in time to where you're gonna need another individual to extend a level of grace to you.
If life was nothing but green lights and we didn't have yellows and reds, things that make us pause, hardships, crises, times for introspection, then what the hell would it all be for? We need the yellows and the reds. That's how we evolve. That's how hopefully there's some ascension to our being. That's how we give some credit to time and growing older. If we were the same person today that we were 20 years ago, then what the hell are we doing?